All right, we're back here. What I want to do in this video, I call, how do you spend $500 at the most on your property that you're gonna sell yourself the turbo for sale by owner way, and actually create $5,000 in the back end. And actually, I just want to tell you, it's relatively easy to do, and it's common sense things. It's so funny how over the years I've worked with so many people that before they sell a home, they feel like they have to, spend 6 months and renovate basements and, put in new landscaping and all of these things, and they'll get that back. Actually, one of the worst things you can do to a property is add more landscaping and a basement to it, finishing out a basement, because dollar for dollar, you don't always get that back. You do in some markets, but for the most part, it's a real big gamble. But that being the case, maybe it's because of the marketing that they do over at Home Depot and Lowe's. There's still this perpetual idea that you need to do all of that. That's not my approach. And very rarely have we ever done anything hardcore like that. And the times we've actually done it with the people that move into the property. They'll do it as part of their financing on the property. And I'll get into that in another video. That's pretty cool, actually. But what I want to do right now is just talk about the little things, okay? Now, number one, can you guess? Here's a little pop quiz. Who do you think is the biggest influencer on buying a house? Do you think it's typically a man or a woman, assuming the people coming to look at your house is a family or a couple, which would probably be 80% of the folks. I mean, you'll always have, different configurations of people coming to look at a home, but most of the time it's usually a married couple or a couple that's together, and they usually have either one or two children. Okay, that's usually your marketplace of people. Well, the answer to that question is the man will always typically, like that makes sense. The man will typically come across as though he's the big decision maker in the situation, because that's just the way maybe guys are as a whole. I'd say in the 90 percentile range, that's kind of the approach you get. However, what I've noticed is that the largest decision maker at the end of the day is the woman. Okay, and when you think about a house, think about what does a woman look for in a house and what does a man look for in a house, and you'll find that it's usually pretty much down the line, a night and day difference, okay? A woman typically is looking, if it's anyone like my wife or most of the women I've worked with in helping them get into properties, is they're going to be looking at the kitchen first. Most of the time, the women I've seen are the primary, people that manage the food and taking care of that, and so that's the room they spend the most time in. I don't know. I'm not saying it should be that way. I'm just saying this is what I've seen in my experience. So take it for what it's worth. You might find some exceptions to the rule, but we're going to work with the standard kind of general approach, and then you'll always deal with the alternative stuff. But let's work with what I've seen most of the times in the dozens and dozens of families I've worked with, okay? So what you want to do, since the woman is the biggest decision maker overall, is you take part of your $500 budget and you say, what can I do in the kitchen to make it just pop just a little bit more, okay? And I'm not talking about expensive stuff. Now, the number one thing you want to do is clean, okay? That can be something that can be free if you want to put a little time into it, or you can pay someone and they'll come in and do it for you, and they'll do a really good job. Depending on your time, your schedule, you make the call on that. But so everything's cleaned, okay? And that's going to be true with the whole house. Everything's clean, vacuuming, all the regular cleaning stuff. If it's something that you don't clean a lot, you might have to have some help, but I'm just going to assume everyone knows that. That's not rocket science, okay? Let's get into the stuff that takes it to the next level, okay? Believe it or not, faucets are a huge one. And what I would do, like in Rick's house here, he's got a pretty modern faucet for this home. I can tell you right now, this faucet wasn't in existence when this home was built. Probably the sink configuration was. You see this in the older homes where the disposal in that area is on the smaller side, and then there's a deeper well for that. But in this case, he's replaced a faucet, which is actually great. He won't have to do anything. If you have an old run-of-the-mill junky faucet, there's part of your budget right there. Go get a nice little faucet, put it on. You don't have to call a plumber to do it. Either you can do this yourself, it's pretty straightforward, or if you don't want to mess with that at all, if you're anything like me and you're forbidden from doing any fix-up in your house whatsoever because you mess everything up, you can actually call a handyman, and a handyman can do this. Plumbers, $30, $40 an hour. A handyman, probably 15 bucks. He'll put that on for you. Or heck, you give him a 6-pack of beer and he'll do it for free, right? I mean, there's, you know, handyman is just another category of person, and we'll talk more about handyman in another video as well. So number 2, if you look at these cabinets here, these cabinets are pretty much the original cabinets, I would guess to say. Now, short of going and resanding and staining and all that stuff for these cabinets, which, you know, you could easily do. I would bring these to a lighter color. But again, you don't need to, right? So what I would do is just go and see if you can get some upgraded fixtures and just put some new fixtures on them. Believe it or not, that can make a huge pop, okay? Now in Rick's case here, he's got a dishwasher, which is always good, and a stove. You know, what do people look for? They look for a stove, obviously. They look for a dishwasher. A refrigerator is an appliance that's negotiable in any deal. And we'll talk about how to include the refrigerator or not include the refrigerator at another time. That's going to be one strategy. But in Rick's case, you'll notice he doesn't have a microwave oven above the stove here. He's actually got a separate microwave. I think this would be one of those things where if you could take that microwave and stick it where it's up more, might be a good idea. Again, a couple brackets, not very expensive at all. Again, the clutter, there's a little clutter here. I would remove a lot of this clutter. And again, you're focusing on just the woman and the woman's needs here, okay? Let's see, what else? Trash. Definitely put all the trash out of the way. You don't want people looking at trash at all. And, you know, good cleaning on windows, okay? Light fixtures, another one of those things where this is probably a 25-year-old light fixture. You can get even a new globe to go over this one. Probably make it clear instead of that white look. That would add a huge dimension to it. You'll also see you know, he's got kind of a track lighting thing up here. That's easy enough if you wanted to take down and put some kind of rail or canister lights there, make it a little more modern. Again, not very expensive to do, but it's one of those things that, you know, it's something to consider, okay? Now, last but not least, I'll tell you one of the #1 things I've seen, and we've already covered cleaning, so you can see right here, this definitely needs to be cleaned. It's just not clean enough for my likes. And we've talked about the smell. #1 thing here is go through the entire house. These are so incredibly cheap, but these just look awful, in my opinion. It just sends a I'm an old house message, okay? Go get new ones. Just take them all off. I think they're like 12 or 15 cents a piece, and just upgrade just the covers, 1 screw and a square plate on everything in the house. Get it more, you know, matching the color of the wall itself would be great. Or even you can do a little offset color like this. It's just they just look awful. But again, what's that going to be for the whole house? Another $7, $10, okay? And all of these things, when you do it, what you're doing is you're creating a perception so that when you walk in the home, remember, the guy's going to be playing the role that he's, you know, in control of everything, but the woman's going to be looking at that kitchen, most likely, and thinking about making meals and where she should, you know, put pots and pans and where she should put dishes and all sorts of things there. One thing I would add into this house as I'm thinking about it too is this over here. To get rid of all that trash, you could easily get a portable island. I haven't priced those recently, but a little portable island with a surface that someone could cut vegetables or whatever here, and even have it to where the trash and everything's underneath it or enclosed in it. That would be one idea. I think the idea here is this is more of a little eat-in kitchen, but you know, that's up to you. I personally wouldn't want to eat in this kitchen. I think it's really small. I would have more like a dining room like Rick did here. But again, you're thinking about it with the perspective of the person that's coming in the home. Again, it's not your style, it's not your taste. You're creating a neutral and canvas that people can see their life here. Okay. So in the next video, we'll continue the tour, and I'll point out some more strategies for you.